Okay.
Well, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we are gonna go over the agenda items for the month of July. And I'm gonna welcome our new superintendent for his first work session.
Thank you.
He's been sweating. He's been a little nervous.
Still
It's
am.
gonna be okay. Alright, so, we're gonna start with the minutes of the prior board meeting. Has anybody got any questions from that or find any errors, discrepancies? If not, we can go on to the next, lost my place. All right, the next one, treasurer's report for Eric.
Question?
I got many, I don't think. I'm trying to get back
I'll
in my
mention this.
groove.
I'll mention this again on Thursday, but I sent you all an email regarding the investments, and I've restructured it, and it should yield us about 1.93% over the course of the CDs.
One question on the comparison. I know we've talked about it before. The taxes, it looks like it's the year-to-date's down about $500,000. I know it was those franchise taxes. Is that just still timing, or is it going to be?
Some of it's timing. I am going to be working with the sheriff's department to kind of figure out where that is.
Okay.
In the past, we had, our collection rate was very low as in comparison to other districts. The auditor brought that up to me. But last year, we had a really good collection rate, so I adjusted the budget a little bit. So I think when I start working with the auditors and the sheriff's department to figure out where kind of where the discrepancy lies, I'll either kind of come back and ask you to adjust the working budget. I'll adjust it at that time, or we'll just figure out what's going on, and I'll have an explanation for you
Right.
for the reason of the shortfall.
Because you think in the same fiscal year it would have caught up if,
True, and honestly, overall, we're ahead 285,000. So, I mean, I'd rather be ahead 800,000, but I'll find out that information for you.
so the other that's up, the 520, now what all is that?
Those are several different, all different sorts of items. That could be Felix Martin grants, that could be just other tax items, other grant funds, just
Okay.
everything.
Okay,
It's kind of the catch-all bucket.
okay, thank you.
Is there anything else on the financial report for Eric? Payments of bills and salaries.
Nothing really exciting on this one.
About the same. And also, then we have the payment of the school bills. They updated their forms at Bremen, didn't they, to reflect the right teachers? Thank you. All right, are there any questions with the school financials? Okay. Superintendent report, anything you want to mention?
Most I'll talk about Thursday, but I will say this, and I'll say it again on Thursday. I appreciate there's a lot of folks that are helping me try to get up to speed. I've met with everyone at Central Office has been great, brought the principals in, they've met with me, I appreciate y'all's time. So I feel like I've been in one long meeting, basically, since I've started, but just props to everyone here for helping me get off to the best start that I can possibly do. And what I want to do more with the superintendent's report over time is to maybe highlight kids a little more, maybe principals talk a little more what's going on in their schools, some positive stuff. And I've got some things, that I'm working on for Thursday, but there's no sense in going over them again. So basically now I'll just say thanks to a lot of folks.
Thank you. Anything on personnel actions? There's not. We will move along to, we'll discuss on Thursday, election board secretary, which typically is our superintendent. The next item would be to approve memorandum of agreement with Central City for school resource officer. And this basically is the position that's held by school resource officer Ricky Allen, where the Central City Police Department, it says they pay half of his salary, full benefits, vehicle, uniforms, law enforcement authority. Says all they ask of us is $18,667, which we do receive $15,000 from other sources, including the fiscal court, Muhlenberg County Champions, and Kentucky ASAP. So the balance of that is $3,667 to be approved for the school resource officer. And he serves the elementary and middle, correct? Okay. Is there any questions or concerns with that item? Okay, and the next one is to consider reading of the KSBA Board Policy Update number 40. Ms. Browning?
No, that's just a
The same
second
thing?
reading.
Just a second?
Yeah, so this is just a second.
I wasn't here last month.
That's okay.
I can't remember. All right, so that's just a second reading. There shouldn't be any questions. Just a formality. Next one is consider requesting bids for replacement of Central City's office roof.
The
Central office.
Huh? What I?
Central City, but it's this office.
Ah, okay. Central. I was gonna say Central City. I read. I'm sorry. I can't read either. I'm on B and reading D. Okay, so central office roof. This one here.
So now we don't have to go through KDE and get a
That's what I was
BG.
gonna say. We had, the people that helped us out and they're doing a great job with the longest roof have come in to look at this. So basically, I'm probably gonna ask to amend that item to be worded separately or worded differently to discuss approving a tentative budget to move forward with replacement of central office roof, because they've come in and said we're probably going to have an architect in the BG1.
Okay.
And this is a company that does that did it for us with the longest roof, so I'll change the wording, and Stephanie, I can get that to you for that amendment on that
Okay.
item, okay?
Okay. I'd hate to be the guys roofing it longest this week. Okay. The next thing is to review updates to employee and student accident reports.
Those were just updating a couple of fields that make them more user-friendly, but more useful for Kim when she does. It sends them on to workman's comp or anything like that.
On the other school forms, I know last year, I think several parents had commented the forms that we have to fill out as parents, for every student enrollment forms and all of that. Are those going to be possibly available online this year? Or could we? That was a huge suggestion I saw on social media last year that we have availability. I mean, not that they would all, but you could have paper copies for those who don't have internet, but a lot of parents just really wanted to do that.
I've looked at it, a lot of districts, some districts are using it, it's just a cost, you know, and it's the last I checked was about, it's gonna cost about $10,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
Every year?
Yes,
Every
ma'am.
year?
Yes, ma'am.
Might be worth
You can
it.
do,
Yeah,
I mean, if it helps the families.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah,
new
that's-
enrollee would still maybe be paper, but
that's one of the things that you can do with it. It's linked to Infinite Campus. So what you would do is, the first part, the first time doing would be just like, you know, the toughest part. And then you could go in and you could,
Edit or update.
right, yes ma'am, edit, you could do updates and so forth. So it is, I've been to several
I mean, during that
workshops
time,
about
I'm
it.
glad I just have one job.
Well, I've always wondered, even if you could send, if it's even on paper, if you could have it pre-filled for existing students, and then the parent update it, you know, sign off, this is correct, or this is being changed, instead of having to redo it for 12 years.
I mean, it's hard for some, I know a lot of people to really fill those out. It's a lot of information.
I think if you're gonna do that route, you're better off doing the online just because of it's, to me, you don't, when you get into that paper and then you start marking through and all that, I think it'd be.
Confusing.
I think it could lead to issues. But if you do the part where they can go in and readjust, they have access and you can link it through Parent Portal. It's a whole lot cleaner. And you're doing the same thing. I'd be hesitant with
The paper going out like that.
I would. But it is, looked at it. Several districts did it last year. There's a few more doing it this year. Not as many as I thought were going to, because I really started looking at this last fall. A lot have backed out a little bit. I think they're looking at one more go around with the other districts to sort of weed out some of the problems. But the biggest thing is we've got to have parents linked to portal. That's the number one problem that districts are facing, is that they went into it and parents didn't have a portal account. That's where all the mess ups were. So if you can link them to the portal, it's a real quick. It's very doable. And you also get in where they can come in to the schools. The schools would give them times where they would have, if people couldn't do it online, because a lot of people, I found this out, people will sit there and on their iPhone, they'll do that on their iPhone. So, but if, you know, those people who didn't have access, the school, hey, look, come into the library or wherever, and that's where they would, and you'd have staff there that could help them utilize that.
Right.
So,
Do you know what percentage of our parents use the portal now, or?
no, ma'am, I do not. And that was also but there was one county, Crittenden, with small county, he had only 6 kids that he had to literally go and do a paper copy type version. A lot of them are doing it. I mean, I was shocked with the number of parents that the percentages were high. So something definitely, I mean, we can do. Obviously, it would be for the next school year, but it would be the biggest thing is we got to get these parents with the portal, and you can link it through the gray cards and so forth. What is basically the big thing is it takes away all the consent forms, everything is they can digitally sign off, where they don't have to fill out something, sign it, and take it. They can do it all online. Yeah. Upload birth certificates, upload. There's a lot of
Immunization records.
things you can do with it. Yes, ma'am.
And you could start maybe educating the parents this year to prepare them for it, to use it for other reasons. And
It is about there's a cost of $7,500 minimum. But that ours, with our enrollment, it was gonna be around 10,000. And you have some of these smaller districts that say Hancock, they were not gonna do it this year because it's like $4 a kid, whatever, it's only like, $4,000. They weren't ready to turn loose with an extra 3,500. But it's about roughly $4 a student each year.
It'd be more efficient for the staff here too.
I mean, once you get that first year under your belt, I think it would be, I like the idea, me personally. I think it's you can put the code of conduct book on there, you don't have, you can do everything. You can do that.
And I think you can do like your payments, all your fees. You can do, I think there's something, My Payments Plus gives you software, so any student fees can be taken care of through there, make it easy for payment, I believe. And then there's even software for scheduling your substitutes. There's something separate, but I mean, you don't have to have the person there to call and ask. That it's actually information that they populate, whoever needs time off, and then, so, a lot of options out there.
Okay. Any other questions? Comments? Consider standard form of agreement between owner and architect for Bremen Gatton Ballpark.
It's just a state form. It's a universal contract that the state has us fill out for, between owner and architects. We did the same thing for the longest group.
Okay. And they chose RBS Design Group and that one's broke. This one's broke. Right. No, okay. Okay, consider MOA with Hopkins County for services for visual impaired. Ms. Julie.
So this would actually be the second time that we will have entered into an agreement with Hopkins County. Last year was our first year. The reason why we have to do that is we have students in our district who have visual impairments, and the co-op doesn't supply a consultant anymore. So it works out really well. They have a teacher there that they can let go 1 day a week, and so we basically pick up that person's 1 day a week salary. The only tricky thing for this month is they're actually approving that contract tonight at their board meeting, so I don't have anything in hand to give you now, but we will have that
On Thursday. Good. Is there any questions on that? And the next is review alternate program policies and procedures.
And I'll pass that off to Mr. Watkins.
Basically, why I have to present or why I need to speak to you all, it's pretty simple. It's stated by the Kentucky Administrative Regulation, each local board of education shall adopt and annually review policies and procedures for the operation of each alternative education program within the district. So to accomplish that task, I've developed a short PowerPoint presentation for you all Thursday night.
Okay. Thank you. And the next one is to consider a letter of engagement with Teresa Combs for Special Education 504 Legal Services and ADA FMLA Legal Services. Ms. Penley.
And this will be the second time that we will have entered into this agreement with Teresa. It worked really well this past year. The reason why we needed to partner with Teresa is she was working with KSBA as a consultant for special education 504 FMLA type services, and she no longer works there, and there's not anyone at KSBA to represent these departments per se. So she went out, she has her own law firm, and it worked really well. We paid for that out of special education funds, and we used her, quite a few times last year in conjunction with our board attorney. So it worked really well, and we would like to do that again.
Any comments on that? The next one, appointment of districts ARC and 504 chairpersons for 17-18 school year.
Basically, the law tells us we have to do that. In our district, we have designated people in their certain roles, and so they're listed on that decision paper who can lead those types of meetings. And so every year we just need to make that formal.
Thank you.
And you post it like a position, is this correct?
Yeah, they're
On
not
the
funded.
job, okay.
And now we are down to our consent agenda items. Leave of absence requests. Any issues or concerns with that?
I just wanted to question the timing of facilities use. It looked like it was signed off on April the 12th and then faxed over on July 13th, so I just was curious as to what the difference of time was. Joe? They wanted to,
Called to see if it had been approved, and for some
Okay.
reason, I had never
North-
received it, so he faxed it over
Okay.
to be included.
all right.
All right, anything on facilities use other than that? Fundraising requests? Or trip requests? Everybody's getting these turned in, aren't they? A lot of them. Making plans for next year? If there's no questions or comments at this time, we can have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.